I thought I would walk us through some of the report criteria, examples, instructions, rubric, all those sorts of things, the resources that we have there. So let's get started. Your recommendation report, number one, can be of any interest, or any area of interest for you. So it needs to be specific. I would definitely caution against something large like climate change or creating clean water for rural communities. Those topics can be really, really large. This is a 1,500 word paper, so it needs to be very specifically targeted. Consider a certain person or a certain business that wants something. Maybe they want to buy a new car, maybe they want to grow fruit in northern Alberta. I don't know. It needs to be a particular person in a particular situation or company in a situation that they are looking at acquiring something or solving a problem. So they're going to need some criteria. It might have to do around, so for example, if we were to look at growing fruit in northern Alberta, what kind of fruit plants or trees would survive in that environment? What is the environment? They would need to look at the amount of space, water, growing conditions. They would need to, the person or company buying would also be interested in cost, how much they have available to be able to spend on such a thing, those kind of things. The example given within the page that we're looking at right now, we've got, and this was something that somebody had done for me before, they were looking at buying a half-ton truck. So for them, they wanted to know things about carrying capacity, fuel mileage, and cost. Those were their big three criteria. And then they used those criteria to compare the Dodge half-ton with a Ford half-ton and a Chevy half-ton. And based on their research, that's they came up with a recommendation for themselves. So yeah, the topic can be anything. It can be related to turf. It can be related to any other area of interest. Have at her. It should be good. We've had a wide variety, and they learn something every time. So things about let's have a look at instructions first. You are seeing this screen at the same time. And in the instructions, it talks about how it's worth 20% of your final grade. Your person or company has a choice to make. There's 3 to 5 options that would solve the problem. And you need at least 3 different sources of information cited. We need to use APA. And you're going to have the different sections of title page, executive summary, background requirements, comparison options, conclusion, and recommendations. We will look at those more closely in the examples. The guidelines breaks down each of the section headings and what needs to be within those sections when you fill out your report. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I think you'll be fine there. This APA documentation resource. You've seen this before when we did the library skills quiz, but the Old College has a great web page that specifically addresses all these APA kind of questions and curiosities. Ooh, one other thing about the instructions that I wanted to be clear on. Your paper needs to be between 1,000 and 1,500 words. If you're a little bit over, like 100 or 200, or a little bit under by 100 or 200, that's fine. But when it gets beyond that, then you're getting beyond the scope of the instructions. It needs to be double spaced. You need to have margins of 1 inch on either side. It needs to be a professional context, like you can have charts, tables, images, as long as they're relevant, appropriate, I guess. And then numbered pages should be in the top right corner, starting with number 1 on where the writing actually starts, as opposed to where the title page, not on there. Running header needs to be in APA style. And the writing should be in Times New Roman 12-point font. It's one of those paying attention to details of the instructions kind of deals. Let's look at our examples. So in this example, this was actually his title page. The other one that just came up because of the type of document he was making and the way it's submitted to issues. So you'll notice that the running head looks like this, where it says running head, and then in all caps, and it's a shortened title. And then after that, it doesn't say running head anymore, but it stays in all caps. So he's got that formatted perfectly. He's got it all double spaced. It's indented. The subheadings are all in bold, but not in all caps. The numeration should have started at a 1 here. Other things that you're seeing that are very well done in this particular paper, we've got in-text citations. So that just means that you've referenced the source within the sentence. You'll see that happen in a variety of spots. If you're wanting to use just the initials for something, it needs to be clarified at the beginning of a paragraph. So if you wanted to write OC for Olds College, at the beginning of the paragraph that you want to use OC, you would write Olds College and then in brackets put OC. And that needs, for APA, that needs to happen every time you do it in a paper. I'm fine, like in every paragraph they would have it. I'm fine with, if you at least have it at the beginning, that'd be great. What else do we see? It's got broken down into sections, all written out in paragraphs as in-text citations. The other thing to look at, and he's done an excellent job with the references. It still gets included on the pagination. It's got a hanging indent, double spaced, and it's in APA format. This one is also well done. Part of why I've included it is to have a look at the variety of topics a person can choose to write from. Now, having those in all caps and bolded is not ideal, but she's got the sections there, which is important. Something else to notice how there's not a double space, like a double space, like an extra space put in, like a person does when we do block paragraphs. You don't do that when you have indented paragraphs. And there's in-text citations. I will be looking for those. And there's a nice mix of them. Like she doesn't have the same ones, like all from one and then all from another section. Kind of nicely mixed through. And finally comes to the conclusion and recommendation. Here we've got a case of, she's got it with the hanging indent. We've got the APA, as far as most of that formatting goes. It's just not double spaced and in Times New Roman. But otherwise, it's very well done. I included this example recently because I thought something that for some people might be helpful would be just seeing this idea where you can use bullet points. And if you have a lot of options that you're considering, you should have 3 to 5. But in this case, it makes sense because of the topic, looking at deer-resistant gardening. So this is very well laid out, very clear. And while the person could have put this all into sentence format and paragraphing, that would have probably put them over the $1,500, sorry, the 1,500 word count. And so this is very effective for the purpose. When doing the writing, it needs to come across as professional tone, but as though you're also having a conversation. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. This person had sent me their reference page on a separate document. Citation machine. This I found very handy when I was in university and doing my master's online. So you can just put in a title. You could have, I'll just leave that with you. You put in the title of the web page, or you can put in a web address and it'll come up with citations for you that you can copy and paste over in. Just make sure that you then adjust the font and spacing kind of criteria. This is where we turn it in. This says 25%. That one says 20. I will fix that. Anyway, this is due Sunday at midnight. Not this Sunday, obviously, but next Sunday. I had posted it in with the week 2, just so that it would encourage people to maybe scroll on down, have a look at it. I know I do my best work when I've had a project assignment percolating in the back of my brain for a little while before I actually sit down and do it. And that is the goal here. Hopefully that worked. Okay, that's about all I can share with you at the moment about your recommendation report. The big pieces are keep it very specific, consider a specific person or situation. Something like which 6-string guitar would be the best fit for Uncle Henry is a much better topic than climate change. That's way too big. Okay. Yeah, if you have any questions at all, please send me an email. Also, I've opened up a time that looks like it would work with most people for a drop-in. This isn't an attendance-based piece. This is if you have any questions or want to chat, anything, drop by, say hi, put a face to a name. Great, come on over, be happy to see you. And I'll just be here. All right, talk to you later. Take care.